I'm 75 years old. I'll be 76 in February, and I'm driving a Expedite Cargo van. I did this years ago, and I had some financial issues come up that I needed to make some more money. So I recently started doing it again. Just a quick word about myself and my background. I actually live in Mexico. I have a ranch in the Yucatan Peninsula and a farm. I raise papaya and asparagus. And I've got 5 wonderful workers that help me. But the fact of the matter is I need some money. And this is a pretty easy way to get some if you don't mind paying the dues. I suppose I've watched, I don't know, 40 or 50 hours of videos that different people have on here, because I knew how it used to be years ago, but I was interested in what the changes were. It seems like there are a lot of videos on now about being a driver, but I really didn't find any to tell me all I was going to have to go through to be one. So I'm going to make a video here and tell you if this is something you want to do, what you have to go through to get the job done. Because it's not a matter of just decide to start doing it and do it. There's a learning curve and there's a waiting period. So what you have to do first, the very first thing is get a van. You might think, well, you're going to get a job lined up for it. No. You got to get a van. You got to get a van. And you'll see that almost everybody on here recommends either a Mercedes Sprinter or Ford has a high top van and Dodge has one. And you know, I talk to other drivers that drive the Fords and the Dodges and they like them. I chose the Mercedes Sprinter van, the 2500. I did it because Mercedes has a reputation for getting high miles on their engines, and Ford and Dodge, not so much. I have friends who have Mercedes that have 400,000 miles on their engine and have never done anything major to it other than normal maintenance. You know, flushing the radiator every 100,000 miles, transmission flush every 100,000 miles, the tires and all that stuff. But you have to do that with any vehicle. So I chose the Mercedes 2500 Sprinter van, high top. They come in a standard length, and they come in an extended length, and then they come in an extended length. One of the popular fellows on YouTube, I forgot his name, but he has a lot of good videos. He's on the West Coast, I think in Washington State or Oregon. Some good stuff. But he has one that will take 4 pallets. So it is about 190 inches long. Mine is an extended van, and I'm not real smart actually about YouTube and doing videos. I'm not a professional content creator, but I'm going to try and put some pictures in here of my van in the video. So my van, from the back of the front seat to the inside of the back door, is 168 inches long, and that's enough for 3 pallets. Well, in 100 and something loads that I've made, I've never had more than 2 pallets. Most of the trips I've done have been 1 pallet. So to be able to carry 4 pallets, I guess, would be a nice benefit, but I don't know how often you're going to get that request, and you're going to pay more for that van than you would for mine. I bought a 2021 Mercedes 2500 Sprinter van. I got the 4-cylinder engine, gasoline engine, and you'll hear guys on here talk about that. Well, they have the diesel. Well, diesel, first of all, I'm sitting here at Love's truck stop right now. The diesel is almost 75 cents a gallon more than the gasoline, plus you have to add DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. and that's not cheap. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it as economically as possible, and so I got the 4-cylinder gasoline engine, and I more or less get 19 or 20 miles per gallon. Sometimes, if I'm empty on the interstate, I might get 22. If I'm loaded and driving into a headwind, as I was in Wyoming a few days ago, I was getting 14. But overall, it's a pretty economical engine, and it will carry up to 3,400 pounds of cargo weight. I've never had that much. I think the most I've ever carried was 3,000 pounds. But I like it. I like the van, and it's economical. So you have to get the van first. There's no way around it. And the reason you have to do that is because to haul, you have to get signed on with the company or companies. In my case, I'm signed on with 2 different companies that dispatch me. And to get signed on, they make you give them a lot of documents. Pictures of the front, the sides, the back of the van, pictures of the inside of the van, pictures of the inside of the van with the tape measure so that they can confirm what your width is inside your wheel wells, how much cargo space you've got from front to back, and so on. So if you don't have the van, you can't give them the pictures, and if you don't give them the pictures, you're not going to get approved. So first thing you do is you find a van. I think the best place to find one, and I don't get paid anything for saying this, I'm not an agent for Carfax, but if you go to Carfax.com, they have vehicles for sale. All kinds of vehicles, cars, trucks, pickups, van, everything. And you plug in some search parameters and say you want a van. You could say 3 different vans if you wanted to look at the Mercedes, the Dodge, and the Fords. In my case, I just put in Mercedes 2500 Sprinter cargo van. And it brought up vans all over the country. And I found one that I liked. The other advantage with looking on Carfax is they tell you the Carfax status of the van. And it will say no damage, minor damage, major damage. And they get that from insurance companies. They will tell you how many owners the van has had. So I was kind of picky, and I put in my search parameters of no damage. I put in 1 owner, and I think what else? Oh, they give you 3 values based on the price of the van. They give you a great value, which is generally going to be below loan value. They give you a good value, and they give you a fair value. And fair value is just basically retail. And there are a lot of them at retail price, fair value. So I plugged in that I wanted to only see great value or good values, preferably great values. And I think out of 70 something vehicles, it narrowed it down to 10. And I found one that I liked. It was in Louisiana. And I flew there, took a taxi cab from the airport to the dealership, and had already researched it. I got a van, 2021 model, no damage, 1 owner, at a great value. So I got everything I wanted, almost. There are a few things I wish now I had, but they're more comfort features than anything else. So I got a van, and then once you have the van, you've got a VIN number, and you get your commercial insurance. And all the companies, all the dispatch companies are going to want $1 million liability and $100,000 cargo insurance. And it's commercial insurance, and it's expensive. In my case, I have a spotless driving record for 35 years. No accidents, no tickets, no DUIs. I don't drink, I don't do drugs. And with a spotless record, my insurance was about $8,700 a year. And you can finance that. And it cost me, let's see, my down payment was $1,700. And then a month later, I had a payment due of $800 and something for 10 more months. So if you've got a great driving record, you can figure your insurance is going to be $800 to $900 a month. If you've got a lot of messy stuff on your record, I don't know how much it'll be, but it'll be more than I pay. And it might be you might want to, let me back up a minute. Before you buy the van, you might want to talk to an insurance agent about some commercial insurance. What would it cost you? Because if you've got a nasty driving record and your insurance agent quotes you $20,000 a year, this isn't going to work. It's not going to work at that much. I mean, it will work at $8,000 or $9,000 a year, but $20,000 a year, you can't do it. So find out what your insurance is going to cost you, and then go get a van. The insurance agent's going to want to know what is the VIN number and the year, model, and then if you end up buying something different than that, you just give them the VIN number and they'll revise the premium up or down one way or the other. I keep looking around because I'm sitting here in Love's truck stop waiting on a dispatcher to get me a load, and I've got cars going by and left and right. Some of them are coming pretty close for comfort. So anyway, you determine your insurance, you get your van. Or you get your van and then you call your insurance agent and you have him bind the insurance. Now you've got that. And once you have that, then when you sign on with the company, they're going to have you send them a COI, Certificate of Insurance. And that is really simple. You contact your insurance agent, you give him the company name, him or her, the company name of the company you're going to work for, and he sends them a COI with their name on it, which basically protects them while you're driving for them. If you have an accident, you're covered and they're covered, both of you. It's called a COI, Certificate of Insurance. Costs nothing. My insurance agent has probably sent, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them out for me. But in the end, I narrowed it down and I went to work for 2 different companies. I'm going to make another video later on about that. I'm signed on with 2 companies, so I have 2 sets of dispatchers trying to get me loads. All of the companies will tell you they want you to be exclusive, just them. And no, that doesn't work. So that might be what they want, but you're an independent contractor. You're not their employee, so they can't put that limitation on you. And some of them have great dispatchers, some of them don't. Some of them take off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and some of them work until 10 o'clock at night. And so I've got 2, and I may pick up a 3rd one here pretty soon, even though I'm very happy with one of my 2. So you got the van, you got the insurance. So now when you contact a company about working for them, they're going to have you send them a lot of stuff. And here's how I did it. That the first time was really challenging with all the photos and the documentation you have to get. I just made copies of that and put it in a folder on my computer, on my laptop, documentation for new dispatch approval. And then the second one, I had it all. And so it took me maybe 5 hours to prepare the stuff for the first company and 20 minutes for the second one. It was fast. So you put it all together and then you've got it. Then use it for a 3rd company or whoever you want to send it to. But in that documentation, they're going to want pictures, as I said, of the vehicle outside and inside. They're going to want a picture of the back of it. That's another reason you have to buy the vehicle first. They're going to want a picture of the back of it with the license plate on it, so they can see your license plate. And they're going to want to see your registration. They're going to want to see a vehicle driver report. And there's 2 or 3 sites on the internet that you can get those. I think they cost $10 or something. And it goes back for 7 years. It's your driving history. They're going to want that. They're going to want, both of my companies wanted a personal criminal report too. I guess to see if I was a wanted felon or something. I don't know. That was $20. So I got those. I have those saved on my computer. So it was real easy to send it to the second company. Anyway, I'll make a video with all the list. It's 20 or 25 different things that they want. Once you have it, it's simple. It just takes some time for the first one. So you get all that together, you pick out a company that you want to apply for, and there are dozens of them. Hell, I don't know, there might be 100. There might be hundreds of them. If you're on Facebook and start watching any of them, or search for cargo van dispatchers, as soon as you start looking at a few of them, then they're going to start showing you more of them. So I watched some of the videos from some of the drivers here that talked about companies that they liked and that they didn't like, and I got in touch with one that was sort of universally recommended. After I started applying with them, I thought to myself, I don't know what was so appealing about these people, because they're not impressive at all to me. They were not friendly. They were almost antagonistic about me working for them. And I just thought, no, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to. The job's hard enough, but it's damn sure harder if you're working with unfriendly people. So I just cut bait with them, went on to another one. I liked them. They were very nice, very welcoming, anxious to get me signed up. And then I was with them for a few weeks, and I liked them. They were nice, but they were not getting me. I want to drive all the time, and they were loading me out 3 or 4 times a week, and I want to drive 21 days straight. So I picked up another company, and so between the two of them now, I'm getting about 5 loads a week, which is what I want to do. In my case, my work preference is to drive 21 days straight, and then I fly back to Mexico and spend 9 days at my farm with my workers and taking care of my farm. And then I fly back to Houston. I would also recommend you get a credit card if you don't have one that is a loyalty card for airline miles. Because in my case, I buy enough fuel during my 21 days to pay for my round trip airfare back to Mexico. And I fly out of Houston, so it costs about $600 if I was buying it, but I'm able to get it with points. So that's how I came to be with 2 companies. The 2 companies, as I said, keep me pretty busy. But what I didn't understand when I made the decision to come back was, I thought, well, hell, I'll just come back and buy me a van and let some people know I'm ready to start driving. And I expected them to want my driver's license and all that, but I didn't know they'd want so much other stuff. And so it took me about 5 days to get this all sorted out. Oh, they want a copy of your passport. That was a real sticking point for me. I didn't want to give that out, but everybody wanted one. And that's because they want to make damn sure that you're a U.S. citizen. If you're keeping up with the news, you know that ICE is pulling people over every place. Anyway, it took me 4 or 5 days after I had my van of doing nothing except sitting at the computers, filling out paperwork and making copies and finding a scanner and scanning documents in and so on. So finally, I got the van. That took a couple of days, took 5 days of paperwork the first time. And then I think 8 days after I bought the van, I got a load. And now that I think about it, I'm going to make another video because nobody's talked about this in the videos I've seen. There's a real learning curve in your loads. And I got my load out of Houston to El Paso, which was a nice load because I really only want 500-mile or more loads. And I think that was 741 miles, so it was perfect. And I got a good price for it from Houston to El Paso. But I should have bid more because coming out of El Paso is a bloody nightmare. It's just cheap. The rates are cheap. You're not going to get a good rate. So you really need to get more going into some towns than you normally would, because what I ended up doing in El Paso was I finally ended up just getting out of there, and I drove all the way back to Dallas empty. Well, besides taking a day of my life to do that, I spent, I don't know, $100 and something in gasoline. But there's no telling how long I'd been waiting around El Paso if I was trying to get my average rate. So I'm going to make a video about how to be selective in where you go. And just because a load pays good, maybe you don't want it. If it's a load going into the middle of the Wyoming wilderness, well, pal, you're not going to get a load out there. You're going to have to drive back to Cheyenne or maybe Denver to get a load. So I'll do that later. But anyhow, that's what you do. If you want to get in this business, that's what you do. You get the van first, you get your insurance, you make your documentation, and then you sign on with some companies. And when you sign on with them, you're not an employee, you're a contractor. All you're doing is giving them the right to call you with loads. There's no forced dispatch. They send you a text message and say, I have a load from here to here. It's this many pounds. How much would you do it for? And if you don't want to do it, you just say decline. It's no problem. It's no problem. And then you wait for another one. And so that's what I'm doing here right now. It's Friday afternoon. It's getting kind of late, actually. And I'm actually not sure if I'm going to get a load out here today or not. A lot of these companies don't really get aggressive on weekends. You also have to ask that, find out when you talk to them, do your dispatchers work Saturday and Sundays? So that's how you do it. And pretty much from the day you buy a van, you can be hauling in about 8 or 9 days. And most of the companies are all the same on getting paid. Everything you haul one week through Sunday night, you'll get paid the next Friday. So you've got to have a little starting capital to buy, $1,500, $2,000 worth of fuel. This is not something you can get in on a shoestring. You got to have some money. I'm going to add one more thing here. Now that I think about it, maybe I'll make a video about this. This job is not for everybody. It is, if you're thinking that you're going to want to be home every Friday afternoon for your kids' football game and for date night with mama on Saturday and church on Sunday, you're not going to do so good. You're not going to do so good. because to get the good loads, you have to go where the loads are wanting to go. And it might be on Thursday you get offered a load from Dallas Fort Worth to Norfolk, Virginia. Well, that's going to take you a day to get up there, and then you're not going to get back until Saturday afternoon if you drove deadhead back. But if you get to Norfolk and you're waiting to get a load back to Dallas or someplace close, well, you might be waiting a while. So you're going to get home when you get home. In my case, I don't have a home. Well, I do, but it's in Mexico. So all I want to do is drive. If I could drive 21 days, 20 hours a day, I'd be very happy. And I'll go any place. I go to Canada. I'll go to both coasts. I won't go to New York City. I won't go to Oakland, California. I won't go to Detroit, Gary, Indiana, or Los Angeles. But other than that, Seattle. I won't go to Seattle. But other than that, I'll go any place. And then once I get there, I have to decide, can I get a load out of this place, or do I need to deadhead back someplace where there's more loads? Some days I write down my words that I speak, the number of words I speak, just as a little pastime. Most days I speak 40 or 50 words the whole day. And that is made up of thank you, you're welcome, how much is this, $40 on pump number 6. I'm just talking, my conversation is almost exclusively with the people in Loves. I don't talk to anybody. A lot of silence on the road. Now, I occupy my time with listening to books, but it's pretty lonely on the road. This past week, I made a trip. I left Fort Worth on Monday at 2 o'clock, and I had a load to Greeley, Colorado that had to be there at 8 o'clock the next morning. So I drove all night. I think I got to Greeley at 5 o'clock in the morning. I got in the back of the van and slept for 2 hours, but I drove all night. And then from there, I had to drive. I unloaded. My dispatcher already had me a load from Wyoming, and I drove 200 miles to Wyoming to pick it up, and then I had to drive all night to get that load back to San Angelo. So in 48 hours, I drove 2,000 miles. And you can do the math on that. I average about 51 or 52 miles per hour. That's driving 70 miles an hour. But after you make your stops to go to the bathroom, get gas, get a cold drink, you're going to be lucky to average 50 miles an hour. So 2,000 miles took me 20 hours of driving. And I'm sorry, it took me 40 hours of driving. And I did the whole thing in actually 44 hours. So in 2 days, I had 4 hours of sleep. But I made some good money, and it was a round trip. But if you're thinking you're going to do this and have a normal family life, it's you need to figure out something else. You need to be like a delivery driver for somebody. And there's certainly people who do that, local deliveries, and they're home every night, and I don't know what that pays. For me, I make about the same amount of money as a big long-haul 18-wheeler makes per hour. They make about 60 cents an hour. They make about 60 cents a mile. I make about 55 cents a mile. But I can drive 20 hours a day, and they only get to drive 11. So you can make some good money, but you can't do this and be a family man. And oh good gosh, I can't. I'm single. I've been single 20 years, but I can't imagine having a wife and taking a wife with me. That would get old fast, with the two of you sitting in the front seat for 20 hours at a time. Yeah, I mean, I loved my wife. I loved her, but I would not want to be in the front seat of a van with her for 20 hours in a row. So anyhow, there you are. That's what you have to do if you want to do this. And as I said, now that I'm thinking about it, there's some other things that I could tell you that I didn't see in anybody else's video that would help you. So I'm not really sure how that works on YouTube, but I think if I have this posted, you can click my link and it'll show you anything else I have posted. So I'll post this, and then I'll post some others. I'm going to post about where I found the best priced vans, because some places in the Midwest they are a lot more. And I'm going to post about what cities to avoid and how to price your stuff. I don't know. One thing about this, it's not all driving all the time. There's a lot of times you're just sitting and waiting for a load. So I have some time on my hands, and I like to help people if I can. I don't have anything to gain by this, except maybe saving you some heartache and talking you out of doing it if you're not the right temperament person. So there you go. I'll close this out, and if you want to watch and see if I've got any more, I'll try and tell you some other helpful stuff.